Welcome to Design Domination, where you'll gain confidence, clarity, and a competitive edge in a crowded marketplace so you can dominate your competition. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Colleen Gratzer, and in this episode of Design Domination, I'm talking about captions. Stick around to find out 7 reasons that you should add captions to your videos. Now, accessibility is absolutely necessary for some individuals, but it is also helpful for everyone. And one aspect of this is captions for videos. Now, let's first clear up some confusion because captions are often confused with subtitles, but they are really actually different. Captions are in the same language that is spoken in a video, and subtitles are translations of what is spoken in a video. Now, there are also closed captions and open captions. Closed captions are those that can be turned on and off, and this actually gives the viewer the ability to control whether or not they want to see them. Now, on the other hand, open captions are always on. They're always on screen. Now, you might have noticed this on videos all over social media that have these types of captions. I mean, unfortunately, most of them are not done in a very user-friendly manner, and instead they're just kind of obnoxious, but that's a topic for another day. So let's get into first who uses captions, right? Because a lot of people, they don't think about adding captions to a video in the first place, and they might think it's too much work, or they don't know how to add the captions. And I'll also cover that in another episode. But they might also think that their audience doesn't need or won't use captions, and so they don't do them. Deaf and hard of hearing individuals account for about 5% of people worldwide. And now you might think that they're the only people who use captions, but that's actually not the case. We have lots of statistics to show otherwise. For instance, in the United States, individuals spend almost 6 hours a day watching videos. And not only that, but a Verizon Media survey showed that 80% of people who use captions are not deaf or hard of hearing. And I have lots of great examples to demonstrate why this is the case. The first one is situational accessibility. So take, for example, my husband and I will be watching something on TV, and then he will just up and go into the kitchen to make popcorn in the middle of it. It drives me nuts, but at least he warns me before he turns the popcorn maker on. And sometimes I'll pause the show and I'll wait for this popcorn pandemonium to be over with. But sometimes, especially if it's getting to a really juicy part in the show or the movie, I just don't want to wait, right? So in that case, I'll just turn on the captions while the popcorn maker's running. That way I can still understand what is happening. Now, once he comes back in the room, we can go back to that part and then both watch it. So think about that the next time that you're watching something good on TV and someone else is making noise in the next room. Your spouse, teenagers, toddlers, whoever. But it could also be someone talking loudly on the phone in the next room. Instead of telling them to just go pipe down, just turn on captions. Another example is inclusivity. I went to a Matthew West concert a few months ago, and I love his songs, but I have to be the first to admit, I didn't know all the words to his songs. So when we were at the concert, I was really excited to see that the lyrics appeared on a large screen behind him on stage, right? Nobody had to know that I didn't know all the words, so that was great. So because of that, I could sing along to every word, and so could everyone else. And so it actually made for a more inclusive experience because everyone was able to participate in it. Now I just wish he'd caption his music videos on YouTube. Okay, so another situation for using captions is when you don't want to disturb others. Almost 70% of people use captions in a public setting, okay? And then 85% of videos on Facebook are watched with sound off. These could be situations like someone riding on the subway, right? A parent trying to watch a video next to a sleeping baby. A parent letting their child watch a video on a device, in a restaurant without disturbing anyone else. Or maybe someone at work who wouldn't want coworkers to know that they were watching a video on YouTube or Facebook, right? Another example is if you're watching a video with words that you might not be familiar with, but that you're trying to understand what's being said. Let's say you're watching a video that has a lot of technical terms, right? Maybe some medical terms. Maybe you want to be able to spell that word so you can look it up later. Now, personally, I'm familiar with a lot of medical terminology because I worked on a medical journal for 10 years. But as I've been watching a lot of veterinary videos on YouTube and trying to understand cancer in dogs more, unfortunately, I have found myself turning the captions on to understand certain words that I'm not familiar with. For instance, I love the Veterinary Secrets YouTube channel with Dr. Andrew Jones. He's absolutely amazing. But his Canadian accent sometimes throws me off. So I sometimes find myself having to turn on the captions. Sadly, they're not always 100% accurate, but when they are, I can understand what he just said. Now, speaking of accents, In addition to that example I just shared, here is another one. My husband and I watch a lot of Jason Statham movies, but this one time we were watching one of his movies, and I can't remember which one it was, but I just remember there were several British actors in it. But we just couldn't understand what the heck any of them were saying. The movie was in English, but the British accents were just so strong. So we had to turn on captions so we could actually understand what the heck they were saying. We would not have been able to watch the movie otherwise. And captions also benefit someone who is not a native speaker of the spoken language. So for instance, I have my degree in Spanish and French, and my Spanish is really strong, but I don't get to practice it much, so I'm not fluent. I love listening to Spanish music, especially Evan Kraft and Danny Goki. I just love Spanish music, and I also don't want to lose my Spanish skills. But sometimes I can't make out a few words, so I turn on the captions. And again, unfortunately, not all of the words are always accurate, but, again, that's for another episode. The sixth reason to use captions is that captions can improve learning. Individuals who are visual learners, who might find it helpful to see the words, they benefit from seeing the captions as they're watching a video. And they can use the captions as a learning aid and to help them focus. In fact, almost 99% of students find captions beneficial. 99%, right? And not only that, but 71% of students without any hearing difficulties also use captions. Captions have also been shown to significantly impact video completion rates. A whopping 80% of people are more likely to watch a video to completion if captions are available. Now, if the first 6 reasons don't convince you enough, how about this one? Last but not least, captions help consumers remember ads better, as much as an 8% increase in ad recall. So that's great for marketing and sales. So there you have my 7 reasons to caption videos. Did any of them surprise you? If this was helpful, let me know in a comment and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If this content was helpful, you can support the podcast by buying me a coffee. It might actually end up being a glass of wine or some tea, but you can go to buymeacoffee.com/creativeboost.